Okay, the events of 9/11. The country's confronted a new kind of enemy, post 9/11, that required unconventional, new tactics, militarily, methods, and working, in conjunction with law enforcement, unconventional methods of law enforcement here domestically to confront this new adversary. So, the Patriot Act, creation of the Fisa system, the Fisa court, was part of that response post 9/11. Okay, we take it on faith that our government is protecting the citizens, that they're using these very powerful tools, of surveillance, intelligence gathering, to keep the bad guys, off the doorstep. But the very next administration, after the one that signed the Patriot Act and they created these FISA, courts, corrupted that capability and weaponized it against domestic political opponents. So this is what we mean by fundamentally transforming America, creating a police state right here at home. Well, no, that puppy ain't gonna hunt. Okay, the things going on now, probably before Election Day next year, that drama will have played itself out, and hopefully we'll have justice served. We'll see. Time will tell. But what is readily apparent right now, to me, is that and I've studied the FISA laws, the consequence for not complying with FISA, for corrupting FISA, for violating FISA, the consequence is a slap on the wrist. It certainly wasn't enough of a deterrent to prevent this corrupt activity, and there certainly wasn't enough oversight to prevent this corrupt activity. So my solution, I wrote it here in the contract with America 2020. It's all right. We're going to up the stakes. We're going to bump the consequence for violating FISA up to just shy of capital punishment, life in prison. Instead of being a Class A felony, Class B, Class C felony with significant prison time, with 25 plus years. So we're going to make it really hurt if you're going to break that law. Okay, domestic, spying on domestic political opponents. To say you can disinvent these capabilities, no, you can't disinvent them. But what we can do is, all right, let's put some skin in the game. Let's get all the big dogs with skin in the game. And I believe that would be a pretty potent deterrent to corrupting that capability. And by that I mean the top level of all three branches of government: the president, vice president, all the department heads and directors of federal law enforcement, federal intelligence, the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and the leadership in both houses of Congress, both parties. All these people, if there's going to be domestic surveillance on a political opponent or a political figure here in the United States, every one of these people are going to have to sign off on it, going to have to agree to it, otherwise it can't happen. So that should be enough to ensure that it won't happen. Because if all these big dogs have skin in the game, and I mean every one of them in all three branches of government at the very top levels, that ought to be enough of a deterrent to where it can't happen. And if it did happen, then it would be such an event. There would have to be such overwhelming evidence that something needs to happen domestically in that arena, that it's legitimate. We're talking like on the level of the Rosenberg selling the nuclear secrets to the Russians. So I think that at a first, let's take a first look at this stuff. Those things should happen. through further discussion and everything, I'm sure there'll be satellite issues come up that will be addressed as well. One of them, which I made a passing mention of it in the contract, has to do with prosecutorial misconduct when these prosecutors go rogue and they don't follow the guidelines that they're required to follow. They leave things out, acts of omission, dirty. I mean, when I was young, the moniker, the cliche was, it's better for 10 guilty people to go free than one innocent guy to go to prison. Well, here nowadays they've flipped that. Well, it's better to imprison 10 innocent people so we might be able to catch one guilty guy. No, that's bass backwards. We need to flip that back. So the prosecutors, these rogue prosecutors, they're on the radar. You guys are on the radar. And when this FISA and Patriot Act stuff is being reviewed and looked at, they'll get caught up. They'll get caught up in the discussion. So they're not, we haven't forgotten about them. Something to think about, something to talk about, something to challenge your candidates on. How do you feel about this, guys? How do you feel about police state tactics? Because remember, in America, that's not who we are. Light them up, talk about it.